Good morning. Welcome to Unity Orlando. Our opening statement this morning is, I fairly sizzle with zeal and enthusiasm and spring forth with a mighty faith to do the things that ought to be done by me. Let's all affirm that together. I fairly sizzle with zeal and enthusiasm and spring forth with a mighty faith to do the things that ought to be done by me. All right, let's all close our eyes, take a nice deep breath in, and let's affirm that together in the silence. And so it is. And now if you'd like to stand and help us sing our joy song this morning, it's called Within Me. Within me, I feel a healing begin. Within me, I feel a healing again. And I know to let the Spirit flow. And I know it doesn't have to hurt to grow. Sometimes the darkest night is like an endless fight. If I can let it go, let Spirit ebb and flow. Within me, I feel a loving begin. Within me, I feel a healing again. The Spirit flow. And I know it doesn't have to hurt to grow. Sometimes the darkest night feels like an endless fight. If I can let it go, let Spirit ebb and flow. The Spirit flow. And I know it doesn't have to hurt to grow. And I know it doesn't have to hurt to grow. And I know it doesn't have to hurt to grow. All right, thank you very much. You may be seated.
Good morning, Unity Orlando. How's everybody today? Great to see all your faces here in person and online. Welcome. I'm Susan Francis, your platform speaker. Oh my gosh, that affirmation, I fairly sizzle. I think of course, wonderful Charles Fillmore, but I also think of bacon, right? Always think of bacon.
Now you're making me think of bacon.
I know, it's contagious. All right, I have actually more announcements than usual, so bear with me. Okay, prayer chaplains are available to pray after service. In the house today is myself and Reverend Paul. If you need to pray with someone, come see us. Also, remember we pray every evening at 8 p.m. Set your alarm and join us. The January affirmation is, I welcome this new year centered in the presence of God within me. I trust the good that is emerging in my life, and I move forward with faith, love, and joy. Also, as a reminder, I wanted to let you know that we have prayer blankets. If you aren't familiar with those, here's a couple samples. And the blankets are something that for the longest time, wonderful Nancy Crane would make them. And what we do is the prayer chaplains bless and pray over them, and then they're for you. If you need some extra comfort, you can take one home and keep it. So come and see me if you want a blanket. I'd be more than happy to pass one along to you. Okay, let's see. Our event with Michael Sandler is coming up this week. It's this Friday evening from 6 to 8 p.m. It's the Ignite the Power Within. We've been talking about this. Michael Sandler is a spiritual podcaster and the host of Inspire Nation. So we're very excited. He's kicking off his Florida tour here with us at Unity Orlando. If you're interested to get tickets, go to our website, unityorlando.org, click on the events page, then click on the flyer, and it'll take you to Eventbrite for details and information. It's a 2-day event. You can go to one or both days, Friday evening and then Saturday morning here at Unity. So he's got a lot of fabulous, inspiring energy. So I think you'll really enjoy that. Okay, next Sunday, we're taking in new members during the 11 o'clock service. So if you would like to be part of the ceremony and join Unity Orlando, please stop by the office and let Linda know or send an email by Tuesday morning so we can prepare for next Sunday. Also, next Sunday is our annual meeting and potluck following the 11 o'clock service. So bring a dish to share and come to our annual meeting and learn about what's going on with the church. That's a time to hear all the things that we've done as a board and what we're planning to do in the future. Also, looking ahead to February, oh my gosh, when I read this, I was like, yes, finally. Brian, our very own Brian, who is a Qigong instructor. I call him a master anyway. He is going to be leading a 9-breath circle service after the 11 o'clock service on Sunday, February 15th here in the sanctuary. I did one I remember 2019 before COVID. It was incredible, very incredible, very powerful. So this is going to be fun. So February 15th, mark your calendar. Reverend Paul is speaking today. His lesson is Engaging Universal Prosperity. But before I turn it over to Brian, I have one story to tell you. There was an Amish woman who was driving her horse and buggy into town with her young son when she was stopped by a highway patrolman. And he said, I'm not going to give you a ticket, but I wanted to warn you that the reflector on the back of your carriage is broken and could be dangerous. Thank you, said the Amish woman. I will have my husband fix it as soon as possible. Also, said the officer, I noticed that one of your horse's reins are tied around his private parts. Some might consider this cruelty to animals, so you better have your husband check that out too. She said, thank you again. I will have my husband look into it when I get home. So when she returned home, she told her husband about the broken reflector, and he said he'd fix it right away. And she said, also, honey, the police officer said there was something wrong with our emergency brake. And with that, I'm going to give it over to Brian. That'll make him stop. Whoa. Whoa. Okay.
You got one of those on the Corvette? Yeah. Very good. Thank you, Susan.
Yeah.
Intriguing story. Here's a song that I wrote a while ago. This was during the 2010, the Walter Russell era,
Okay.
I call it. A bunch of songs I wrote that back then. It's called Universal Force. Universal forces silence within us, our stillness lives. Universal forces silence eternal thought through external form. Universal intelligence, like water waves through our consciousness, like ripples of energy flowing through me in my focus. Universal forces forces silence within us, our stillness lives. Universal forces silence eternal thought through external form. In spirit, in harmony, like water waves through my consciousness, coming through me, your energy flowing through me, and my focus, universal forces silence within us, our stillness lives. Universal forces silence eternal thought through external form. Universal intelligence, like water waves through our consciousness, like ripples of energy flowing through me, in my focus, in spirit, in harmony, like ripple waves through my consciousness, coming through me, your energy flowing through me, in my focus, universal forces silence within us, a stillness lives. Universal forces silence eternal thought through external form. Eternal thought through external form. Eternal thought through external form.
Excellent. Thank you, band. Susan, Carol, and John, and Brian. Universal forces. I love it. We're going to be talking about universal forces today. So, good morning, everyone. Welcome, everyone here in the sanctuary, everyone online. Couple of kind of church business things first. We received a donation this month. It wasn't from me. And the donor has asked to remain anonymous on both their name and the amount. It allowed us to pay off the mortgage. Yeah. So the church is ours now. And it also allowed us to do a couple of additional things on the roof, relatively minor, that will really help just polish that off. So we're very, very grateful for that. So a few remarks before we get started on the slides. The universe responds to what we think, how we feel, and what we do. All three of those, okay? And so it's important that they be lined up. We probably all experienced doing things that we really didn't want to do, or doing things that we didn't think we should be doing, or, and it just doesn't work very well because we're sending thought waves out and our actions and they don't match, okay? So it's real important that they all line up. And so we're going to talk about giving and receiving today. Never give out of a sense of sacrifice or obligation. If you're doing that, my recommendation is stop, okay? And then figure out a way that you can be in alignment with that so that it feels right to you, that it makes sense to you. We'll talk more about that. So that's what I've been doing for the past 24 years, and 90% of this talk is going to be my story. I'm not going to recommend anything to you that I haven't done myself or I'm not doing myself. So what I'd like you to do with this talk is just cherry pick, okay? If you hear something that fits and rings and resonates with you, grab onto it. If it doesn't, just, push it off to the side. Okay, let's go to diagram number 1. Engaging universal prosperity. So the purpose of this talk is to discuss the process for engaging universal prosperity through the application of spiritual principles, to describe methods for enhancing your own financial prosperity through the process of giving and receiving, to engage with the flow of universal prosperity rather than just watch it go by. I want every single one of you to experience universal prosperity. That's my goal for this talk. We're going to be talking about financial prosperity today because we can measure it. It's easy to define how much you give and also calculate how much you receive. This process works just as well for love, compassion, kindness, etc. Those qualities are just harder to measure and harder to quantify. I used to listen to a lot of Marianne Williamson when I started A Course in Miracles back in the early 90s, and she had a quote that I just loved that I heard on one of her cassette tapes. Remember those things with the little, yeah. And it was her take on do unto others. And she would say, do unto others as you would have them do unto you because they will. Okay. And I just love that. And it applies to the universe as well. Because the universe is always monitoring us and ready to respond. Okay, diagram number 2. A Course in Miracles workbook lesson number 38. Your holiness reverses all the laws of the world. It is beyond every restriction of time, space, distance, and limits of any kind. Your holiness is totally unlimited in its power because it establishes you as a child of God at one with the mind of your Creator. So it's important for us to recognize just how powerful we are as spiritual beings, which is the way God created us to be. The limitations of the physical world do not apply to our spiritual nature. Jesus demonstrated this when he turned water into wine and when he fed 5,000 with 5 loaves and 2 fish. Jesus also said, all that I have done you can do and even greater things. So those were pretty big demonstrations, and we're going to cover the one about the 5,000. Diagram number 3. John 6, 5 through 7. When Jesus raised his eyes and saw that a large crowd was coming to him, he said to Philip, where can we buy enough food for them to eat? He said this to test him because he himself knew what he was going to do. Philip answered him, 200 days' wages worth of food would not be enough for each of them to have a little bit. Jesus was testing Philip's belief about abundance and prosperity by asking him the question the way that he did. Diagram number 4. John 6, 8 through 10. Another of his disciples, Andrew, Simon Peter's brother, spoke up. Here is a boy with 5 small barley loaves and 2 small fish. But how far will they go among so many? Jesus said, have the people sit down. There was plenty of grass in that place, and they sat down. About 5,000 men were there. I'm sure the ladies were there too. So much of the Bible leaves the ladies out, so I want to acknowledge that. Divine feminine energy is making huge moves on this planet, so I can only imagine what his disciples were thinking, right? Okay, he's lost it now. We got 5,000 people here. We got 5 loaves. We got 2 fish. This is not going to work because it doesn't make sense intellectually or physically that could work. Diagram number 5, John 6, 11 through 13. Then Jesus took the loaves, gave thanks, and distributed them to those who were reclining, and also as much of the fish as they wanted. When they had had their fill, he said to his disciples, gather the fragments left over so that nothing will be wasted. So they gathered them and filled 12 baskets with the pieces of the 5 barley loaves left over by those who had eaten. They probably just ate all the fish. They probably knew you can't really save that. I mean, you know, how well is that going to keep? That's my take on it, anyway. So this miracle is displayed beautifully in The Chosen. And if you want to see it, it's only 10 minutes. If you want to see it, go to YouTube and put in Jesus feeds 5,000, The Chosen, and it'll pop right up for you. I watched it the other day. And they did a beautiful job with it, including all of the angst from the disciples about what is he doing, what could he possibly be thinking here. So Jesus starts this miracle by giving thanks for what they have, which is a critical component. Jesus is demonstrating universal prosperity and abundance for his disciples and the people as well. He always taught through demonstration. They start with 5 loaves and 2 fish, and they end up with 12 wicker baskets filled with loaves. Incredible multiplication. Not to mention everybody that they fed. Okay, diagram number 6. A Course in Miracles, lesson 187. No one can give unless he has. In fact, giving is proof of having. We have made this point before. What seems to make it hard to credit is not this. No one can doubt that you must first possess what you would give. It is the second phase on which the world and true perception differ. Having had and given, then the world asserts that you have lost what you possessed. The truth maintains that giving will increase what you possess. Increasing what we have by giving it away makes little to no sense to the human intellect. Just doesn't make any sense. It is a spiritual law that giving increases what we possess. It's important that we shift our focus from what we believe on a human level to what is true on a spiritual level. It will take a new kind of experience for this shift to occur. That's why it's important to start slow, and I'm going to go into that. I want you to have a new kind of experience. That's what happened to me 24 years ago, and I'm going to talk about that in quite a bit of detail. Okay, diagram number 7. Critical points for giving and receiving. Never let anyone tell you how much you should be giving. It's a personal decision for each of us. Never let anyone tell you what percentage of your income you should be giving. Only you can make that decision. Giving should generate positive feelings within you. Never give out of a sense of sacrifice, fear, or thoughts like, I should be doing such and so. Expect to receive, and expect to receive in like kind. The key is to engage the flow of universal prosperity, to hook your wagon to that flow, and to stay engaged. 2 Corinthians 9:7, it's not going to be on the screen. Each of you should give what you have decided in your heart to give, not reluctantly or under compulsion, for God loves a cheerful giver. That's that alignment. What I think, how I feel, and what I do. Okay, my story. Most of you know I grew up in a pretty traditional family, 4 kids, a mom and a dad. We'd go to church. I like to use the term I was taken to church, you know. I don't remember ever being asked if I wanted to go or ever being told, would you like to stay home today and sleep in? I was taken to church. And so I watched what was going on in there, you know. I mean, we're all sitting in this one pew, and I'm watching my dad, and here comes the basket. They were on kind of a long pole back then. And what I remember, whether it's what happened or not, I don't know, but what stuck in my memory was $20. That's what I remember. My dad put $20 in the basket on Sunday. Now, later, when I was an adult, he told me about all the building funds and the bishop appeals and all of those other things, too, which I had no knowledge of. He used to say, he was in the Navy for 27 years, so we moved every 3 years. And he used to say, I built a new church every place I went. And I think he was definitely part of that. So I had zero background in giving and receiving. 2002, I start coming here because Ronnie and I got together. We're dating, and I did what I always did. If I remembered, and I tried to remember, I'd bring my $20 bill and I'd put it in the basket. If I forgot, I would see what I had. If I wasn't here on a Sunday, I didn't worry about it. It was, you know, just what I did. So about a month into coming here, Ronnie's sitting right next to me, and I'm looking over her shoulder. She always wrote a check during the offering, so I'm looking over her shoulder. And she's writing a check for $80. And I'm thinking, what the hell is she doing? I mean, that was my thought. I make twice what she does. I knew that. She's given 4 times what I'm giving, and I make twice her income. So we talked on the way home in the car. And when we got home, I said, what are you doing? What's the deal with this? She said, well, I took this 4T prosperity class, and they talked to me about tithing and 10%. I said, you bought that? I said, that's a trick. That's just a trick. Imagine every pastor of every church in the world, if they could get every member of their congregation to give 10% of their income, they're home free, right? She said she tried again. She was very gentle with me, and she tried again to explain to me, and I wasn't buying it. I really wasn't. But I felt embarrassed. I really did. So I had to come to Jesus meeting with myself and said, okay, Paul, what are you really willing to do? And I decided 2%. I'll do that. And that's as far as I could go, 2%. So I took out my calculator, I looked at my income, I multiplied it by 2%, I divided it by 52 Sundays in the year, there's my weekly donation. It was more than $20, but I was okay with that. So about 3 months later, and I'm a very disciplined person, so when I make up my mind to do something, I really stick with it. About 3 months later, I get called into my manager's office for my annual pay raise. The company I was working for was pretty stingy with pay raises. But the process was your manager would call you in, give you an envelope, you would open it, there would be a letter in there, you'd read the letter, and it would tell you what your pay raise was for the year. So it was typically 1%. Or 1.2%, or 0.8%. I mean, to me, it was kind of a joke, honestly. Now, the manager that's doing this is not my program person. They're a person that just fills slots. I was an engineer, so they would have like 50 engineers under her auspice, and she'd just plug them into programs that needed them. Not that familiar with what you're doing. I open up the letter, 12.5%. Yeah, that's what I was like, wow. And I thanked her. And then I said, how did you manage to pull this off? Because I knew the system. She said, well, I'm new here, and this is my first year being your manager. So I went to your program manager and said, how's he doing? You know, what's his work like? She said, it was incredible. And so I really looked into that, and the work you've been doing for this company for the past 5 years is off the charts. So that is a correction. You've been getting 1% pay raises for the last 5 years. This is a fix to that. And I was blown away, and I thanked her again. Got home, told Ronnie all about it. Got out my calculator, right? Because it changed the ball game, and there was a lot of year left. So I recalculated my 2% and changed my donation accordingly. Okay, diagram number 8. I'm going to use this term rate of return. When the amount that you have given is returned to you, your rate of return is 100%. Example, you give $10, you receive $10 from somewhere. When the amount that you have given is doubled and returned to you, your rate of return is 200%. Example, you give $10, you receive $20. So if someone comes up to you and says, you give me a 10, I'll give you a 20. Hang on, let me find my 10, right? My personal rate of return has increased over time. My highest rate of return so far occurred in 2024 at 500%, a big number. As I moved along and began to experience a rate of return that exceeded 100%, I gradually began to increase my percentage, 1% at a time. As my percentage increased, my rate of return increased. So this all started becoming quite encouraging to me. Everything I've given has come back, plus. So I felt okay with going from 2% to 3%. And I looked back in my records, and basically I was raising my percentage about 1% every year because of what I was experiencing. Okay. Diagram number 9, let's do some math. So let's say we're looking at an annual income of $40,000. We're at 2%. We multiply 40,000 by 2%. We divide by 52, and that's our weekly donation. Or, if you like to donate monthly, which a lot of people do, you take your percentage times your annual income and divide by 12. So 2% times 40,000 divided by 12 is $66, and that would be for the month. And that covers all your charities. So if you're doing that and it's 66 and you donate to multiple places, you divvy that up how you want to. I donate primarily to Unity Orlando, but I also donate to the Modern Widows Club. I donate to my college frequently. You know, there's other charities that I donate to. Now, when I started this, I was looking for a way to keep the number down, honestly. And I said, oh, what about the federal taxes? That's not my money. That belongs to the government. So I pulled that off my income before I started calculating. And I did that for the first couple of years, and then it didn't really matter too much after that. But if you feel like you want to do that, take it off. You know about what you pay in taxes. It didn't make sense to me to give on that because it was passed through, went through me to them. If you're online and you live in a state other than Florida, you may have a state income tax. If you decide to do that, lump that in there as well. Don't forget to recalculate as your income goes up or down. When I retired, my income dropped substantially. I used the same calculation method, so my donation came down. And I do want to mention that I recalculated on that 12.5% right away. I do recommend that. You could wait till the end of the year, but when the universe responds like that, we want to respond back as quickly as we can. That's what helps us stay engaged. So between the time I started this process until I finished my working career, my annual income had doubled. And that was over a 10-year period, which was nice. I did switch companies, by the way. It was part of making that happen. But that opportunity just presented itself to me. Okay, diagram number 10. Calculation if you have a variable monthly income. A lot of people, income goes up and down by the month. Massage therapists, waiters, waitresses, landscapers, people that own their own business. It varies significantly. So it's best, I think, to calculate on a monthly basis. So an example would be using that 2%. If the income is $2,000 times 2%, then the donation for that month is $40. The next month, maybe there's $3,000, so the donation is $60. And then maybe the next month drops down and you take some time off or whatever the case may be. It's only $1,000, so your donation for that month would be $20, okay? Once the month has ended, calculate your income for that month, deduct your taxes if you choose to, and apply your percentage. Donate that amount either all at once or week by week, your choice. Allow your donations to change as your income changes, up or down. Okay. Diagram number 11. When your rate of return exceeds 100%, at some point, your rate of return will exceed 100%. 100%, remember, you're getting back everything you gave. Now you're getting more back than what you gave. There are a number of ways to handle the amount that exceeds what you have given. I call that amount the surplus. You can add the surplus to your income if you want to and apply your current percentage, or you can apply your percentage to the amount of the surplus and add that amount to your next donation. Let's say you suddenly have a $200 surplus and your percentage is 2%. You would simply add $4 to your next donation to cover the surplus. It's critically important that you stay engaged with the movement of the universe. It's very tempting experience speaking, it's very tempting to pocket the surplus without increasing your donation. I had to struggle with myself on that. Strongly recommend you donate from the surplus. Okay. Ways of handling surplus. These are some of the things that I did. The trash people come by 3 times a week at my house, and there's 2 people on the truck. And so around Christmas time, I got some very inexpensive Christmas cards, and I would write them a nice note, and I'd put 2 $20 bills in there and put my return address on it, and then I would go out and meet the truck. And the one on Monday comes at 6:15 in the morning. So I was out there waiting for them to come by, and I would hand this to them, the envelope. The reactions were over the top. I mean, they don't get much of that. And so even before they opened the envelope, you know, they're thanking me, and they're kind of impressed by that. And then you know how when the trash people come by, your things are strewn all over the place? Well, mine were put up either nicely on the sidewalk or up by the garage door. It's just perfectly lined up. It was fascinating to watch. I increased my tips for waitresses and waiters who did a good job. Plus, I'd write a little note on the receipt. Anybody who worked for me that did well, that I felt like, I would tip them, which I never did before. Salvation Army during Christmas or outside my grocery store, I would make sure to give to them every time I went to the grocery store. The kids with their sports teams, and baseball teams, soccer teams, they're out there by the grocery store. And they were either selling coupons or something, and I would just donate. You know, one little boy came up to me from a baseball team, and he's got the coupons in his hand. I said, I don't really want the coupons, but can I give you a donation? And he's nodding his head. And I said, by the way, what position do you play? He goes, first base. I said, I played first base in Little League. So we had this nice little conversation about it. Now, in 2024, I mentioned I had a 500% rate of return. So 100% took care of everything I gave, and then I had this extra 400%. So I used that to fuel the 2025 Flat Roof fundraiser. If you guys remember, I got up here and announced that I would be matching donations, that I would match every donation that came in. And over a 7-day period, I said I would double match every donation that came in. And I'm sure a lot of people were thinking, what is this guy doing? You know, this is a pro bono assistant minister. Where's this coming from? It was the surplus from the previous year, right? That's what I was using. I typically donate about 30% of my surplus. So if my surplus is 100, I give 30, pocket the 70. That's just kind of what I do. When you give on surplus, the engine cranks up. The prosperity engine cranks up. The universe is responding to you with surplus, and you're giving a portion of that right back. And it's incredibly powerful. So the end of the year was coming, this just past month in December. I still had some surplus I hadn't donated on. I found an organization I had not donated to before, and I decided to donate, so I did. And it was not an insignificant amount. And the return occurred the next day at 220%. And it came from one of my accounts that produces at the end of the year, but you never know, you know, if it is or if it isn't type of thing. And I went, well, that was fast. That happened. I donate Tuesday, that hit on Wednesday. So I thought, I wonder if that's a fluke. I'm going to do it again. So I did it again. I donated the same amount to the same organization a second time. 2 days later, the same thing happened. 220% rate of return. That account never produced twice in December. I've had it for 20 years. It's never done that. So that's just an example of how donating from surplus can really crank things up. Okay, diagram number 12, important points to remember. Pick the percentage that works best for you. Don't let anyone else dictate that percentage to you. Recalculate each time your income changes, whether that's an increase or a decrease. Don't forget to include surplus income in your calculations. As you gain confidence in the universal response, consider raising your percent slowly, i.e. 1% at a time. Don't forget about missed Sundays and paid vacation time. It's real easy to forget about that, especially when you're doing weekly. So what I would do is, if I knew that we weren't going to be here, I would double up the Sunday before or double up the Sunday after. But you want to make sure you cover everything in your calculation. And remember that if you're away, if you're out of town, the Donate Now button on our website works all the time, right? 24/7, I've used it. You just punch that baby and you put in what you want and it comes right into the church. Confidence in the universal response can only develop within you through experience. Once you begin to receive, your confidence in the process will grow. Now, I did mention that, did I read that passage from Corinthians? 2 Corinthians? Okay, I did. Yeah, that one doesn't get read too much because it's really talking about what's going on in here and being in alignment. Okay, so big picture as a wrap up. I know I've covered a lot, but just kind of put it in a big picture. Establish your baseline percentage, apply that percentage to your income, and adjust as your income changes. Establish your surplus percentage. It can be the same number that you're using for the baseline. I recommend that you not make it less, but you can certainly make it more, and apply that percentage to your surplus. Remember that donating from your surplus will turbocharge the universal response. It's like hitting the turbo in your car, or for me, it's like kicking in the afterburners in a jet. It really, I mean, you think about it. You give a certain amount, the universe gives it back to you and gives you more, and then you immediately donate from the more, right? And so now you've got another thing working for you out there, and from my experience, the universe responds to that too. And so that's where the multiplication really gets going. I mean, it's January of 2026. All my baseline has come back already from last year, and all of the surplus as well that I donated on. So it can move pretty quickly. Okay, so we're going to go into meditation, and this meditation is about trying to get into an experience of just how incredible the universe is and just how magnificent that abundance of life within the universe is, to help generate a feeling of that. Okay, so here we go. Dear God, we thank you for loving us, for caring for us. For creating us as a very part of yourself. Eternal Spirit, with no limitations. Any limitations we experience in life come from our human side, because our spiritual side is completely unlimited. And we think about, for a minute, the displays that you present to us, the vastness of the oceans, the amount of water contained in the ocean, and all of the abundant life that's there, which is given freely to us by you, by the universe that you created. And we think about the stars in the sky. On a clear, moonless light night, we see so many stars. And there are so many more that we can't see. All the galaxies that are out there, with billions and trillions of stars. The vastness of the physical universe is immense. And the vastness of the energy of abundance and prosperity that you create for us is even more intense, even more immense. And so, dear God, we seek to tap into that incredible prosperity, that universal prosperity that you have provided for each and every one of us. Help us to remember and help us to tune into the examples as we look at a gorgeous mountain range or the depth of the blue sky above us. As we see so many signs in nature, all of this freely provided for us by you. And so we seek a greater experience of your abundance and prosperity. And we recognize the mirror effect of the universe, that it responds to our thoughts and our emotions and our actions. And so as we give, that giving is returned to us. As we give love, we become a more loving person. And love comes to us from others. As we give compassion, we become a more compassionate person. And others treat us with compassion as well. And as we give kindness, we become a kinder and gentler person. And others treat us with kindness as well. And so whatever it is that we most want to receive, dear God, we figure out a way to give that to someone, to the world in general. And we can do this without a bunch of fanfare. We can do this quietly. We can do this from our heart. We can send love to anyone we choose in the quiet of a meditation. We can be kind to everyone we meet. Knowing that that will affect them in a positive way. And that the universe will respond with kindness to us. And we can support whatever organizations we choose financially with a clear mind and a giving heart, and the universe will respond to us. And so we ask, dear God, that you help us to be in alignment with our thoughts, our emotions, and our actions. Help us to be a more giving, caring, compassionate, and kind person as we walk the earth. And we know that your goodness will flow upon us in increasing measure, time and time again. And we are so grateful for your love and for your blessings and for your guidance as you help us move through this physical life that we are experiencing. You once said, dear Jesus, be perfect as your Father in heaven is perfect. So we ask you to help us through the Holy Spirit, through our guardian angel, through Jesus, our brother, to be more and more perfect every day, especially in love, kindness, and compassion. So we thank you, dear God, for the gifts that you give us. We thank you for the love. We thank you for the guidance and the energy that you pour into our hearts to help us grow and develop and have a deeper experience of our true spiritual nature, the way you created us to be. That's how we want to show up in the world. Thank you, God. We love you. Amen. Okay. It's our offering time. Brian, you want to come forward? If you're online and you're new, you can donate from our website at the end of service, unityorlando.org. By clicking the Donate Now button, you can use PayPal, credit card. You can pull our address off and mail us a check. You can use Zelle. If you use our email address, unityorlando@gmail.com. And you can also call the office for assistance. Thank you, everyone, for your donations to Unity Orlando. You're the reason we're here. Absolutely are the reason that we're here and that we can be up here every Sunday serving our congregation. So let's say together our offertory blessing. Divine love through me blesses and multiplies all the good I am and have, all the good I give and receive. Over to the music team.
All right, thank you, Reverend Paul. And got a new song for you this week.
You're on a roll.
Very strange. I wrote it on Sunday afternoon. That's really strange, because it's normally Tuesday morning. But this is, I think about deja vus a lot. And when I go to a store and they give me the change and it's 1792, I'm thinking, did I know this person in 1792? I just think these weird things like that. And that's what this song is kind of about, like recognizing you and me together in a different place. It's called Universe with You. Once upon a time, I remember I was here with you. I remember once upon a time that you had known me too. Maybe in the distant past, it didn't really go too smooth. A lot of things to deal with and a lot of things to prove. Now we're here together, don't you know it's true? How about we all get get together and find out what we knew. Let's all try to get along and be the chosen few. We'll live in the universe with you. We live in the universe with you. I'm in the universe with you.
And you.
I'm in the universe with you. One time we had so much fun under skies that were totally blue. Sunny skies and spiritual eyes so we could tell what's true. Nowadays there's so many ways to use this very tool. Loving eyes materialize loving words of truth. Now we're here together, don't you know it's true? How about we all get together and find out what we knew? Let's all try to get along and be the chosen few. We'll live in the universe with you. I'm in the universe with you.
And you.
I'm in the universe with you. I'm in the universe with you. Together, don't you know it's true? How about we all get together and find out what we knew? Let's all try to get along and be the chosen few. We'll live in the universe with you. I'm in the universe with you. I'm in the universe with you. I'm in the universe with you.
Beautiful. Great job. That's great. You know, I was thinking while you were playing that song that Brian gives us all these new songs. They're his gift to us, and the universe responds by creating this incredible music-making, inspirational whatever it is, and pumps it right into you. And so here comes another one. Yeah, that's great. Thank you so much. Okay, next Sunday, Reverend Bob will be speaking, If There Is Any Praise. I'm sure that will be a good one, and we'll probably springboard off of some of the things that we talked about today. Thanks again for your support for the church. Last year was a great year. This year starting off as a wonderful year, so I can't thank you all enough for that, and all of you online too as well. You're an important part of us. We're up to 726 subscribers now to our YouTube channel, so we definitely want to acknowledge our online participants. I do have to mention before we finish this off, you know, when I did that double match thing, most of the donations came in during that 7-day period. And we have, to be unnamed, an online participant from many states away who sent in a check for $10,000 during that 7-day double match. Now, is that amazing or is that amazing? And so it was just, of course, I had to do my part, which I did, you know, but again, I was working off 2024 surplus, so it was not painful at all. It was actually quite joyous. So that person knows who they are, and they will remain anonymous, but I just thought it was phenomenal. Absolutely. So let's all rise and close the service off with a prayer for protection. The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. And the presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well. God bless you, everyone online.